podcast not legit. Black African power. What's good? What's happening? A well-organized lie defeats a disorganized truth every time. Woo-hoo-wee, man. Y'all already know what it is, man. It's God killing the house, man. And I come to do what I got to do, and I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm standing strong. I'm standing tall. Hey, y'all know what it is, man. It's Bobby Banger, man. Man, y'all see on the screen, man, we got these two debaters going against each other, man. The link, you can find it. The moderators put the link in there. They can purchase this for $30, man. And y'all see it. Napah versus Naphtali. Science versus religion. That's what this bad is going. It's going to boil down to that. Somebody going to have misinformation and disinformation willfully. I already know what side I'm on. I'm picking the side of science. Simple as that. It's going to be a lot of razzle, dazzle, dazzle. Flip, 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 boom. Need to make sure we figure it out. So make sure y'all support this debate, man. It's going to be real powerful, man. It's a lovely picture of the ladies, man. And they coming with intelligence. It's important to support the sisterhood. We need to see more quality debates with the sisters. That link is going to be underneath the video, man. Make sure y'all get to that. And then we got another rematch right here, man. Monkeys are man. They're in the same vein. I'm talking about the outer Africa theory. This is what this debate is about. Where do humans come from, right? We can be talking about anthropology and how we should view certain statues. It's an important conversation. So both debates are actually intertwined. If you're not understanding how humans are primates and animals, then you could never understand the outer Africa theory. If you can't look at this flyer right here and say, okay, I see it. I see the chimpanzee evolved into a man. If you can't look at that picture and say, okay, that's just an artist's rendering, that's not actually how it is. That picture has nothing to do with science and the scientific explanation. If you're looking at that flyer and you see that and you say, that's what you think evolution is, you're ignorant. You're ignorant in how evolution works. And Nepal and the Naphtali are going to get it in. Sanchez and me are going to get it in. You got to see both debates. They are interlocking, man. The link is going to be under the video, right? It's going to be there. All right. Appreciate all the support, man. Make sure y'all hit the Cash App, man, for this episode, man. Show some love, man. I'm going to drop it in here, man. It's important for us to support each other, man. We love the community. We've been doing this for free for years, man. I'm in the business of teaching. And I'm in the business of being around brothers that teach. All right? And I got my man Chuck in the building. All right? We about to get it in. And he's going to be talking about Sumer, the land of the black-haired ones. He's going to respond to years of misinformation, man. Been knowing Chuck for over 25 years, man. 25 years, man. people say, well, y'all come out the school of Malachi York. It's not true. We come out of defeating the school of Malachi York. That's the vein we come out of. The overturning of the Malachi York school, the defeating of it. And Chuck been doing it for a while, man. All right? So y'all go ahead, support, hit the cash apps, man. Give me 1 second. And we about to crank this thing right, man, because y'all know how we do it around here, man. Give you something from Baltimore. And then we getting right in. God killer, we make those ring bass from the cannons. Use me. NW Cole, clear vision. Hilltop roofs, no gimmicks. Montgomery, just the tempo. Race this turn. Info heavy, show sources. Don't chit chat, no proof. Fall back. Quick. Rogers Ave, where I'm at. Another Pequee, stay intact. Park Heights, facts ready. Liberty Heights, no ferry. You're playing weak, go fast. Peer review, hold that. Methods first, no myth. You replicate, then it's legit. God killer, we make bells ring. Bass in the cannons, haze ring. You promote pseudo, dust cap. Slick or swim, better adapt. Rogers Ave, talk slick love. Another Pequee, move quick love. Show sources, don't chit chat. No proof, fall back. Quick. NW Cole, clear vision. Hilltop roofs, no gimmicks. Correlation and cause headlines, love applause. Rogers Ave, no fake flex. Novin Pequee, no late. Dion Riley, facts, steps, say less. Learn up, then rap. Mondom and shift the tempo. Rest this down and 480. Park Heights, facts ready. Liberty Heights, no ferry. God killer, we make bells ring. Bass from the cannons, ears ring. We promote pseudo, that's cap. Sink or swim, better adapt. Rogers Ave, talk slick. Nah, Northern Pequee, move quick. Nah, Rogers Ave, no fake flex. Northern Pequee, no latex. Show sources, don't chit chat. No proof, phone back. Quick. DOI late facts, stamp. Say less, learn up, then rap. Shirley Avenue. Man, okay, man, we got Chuck in the damn building, man, and man, Chuck Morgan, man, been around, been in this community, been around the community, man. First heard him on the radio 25 years ago, man. Beating the hell out of a pastor and some Bible thumpers. It was straight amazing. I was like, man, why are you doing it like that, Chuck? Man? And I always had an interest in really delving into the details of the biblical text, man. Y'all see this picture right here. This is a picture of the Gouti. All right. And excellent artist rendition. Chuck, how you doing, man? Let me make sure your mic is clear, man. Let me see if I can hear you, bro, before you get into this thing. Check 1, check 2, Chuck.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you good and clear, man. Man, what's going on, Chuck? How you feeling, brother?
Everything is all right, brother. Everything is on the one. Holding on. Just got back from the gym, so I'm straight.
You straight, man. Make sure all your cords is plugged in there. It seems like it's a little. Make sure everything is plugged up right. We want to make sure people
plugged in. I'm all good.
You're all good. Okay. All right. So we about.
I just want to make sure. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it seems like it's a little. You might want to turn the connection down. The you know that part of your mic. Might want to turn it down just a little bit. Yeah.
All right. How about that?
Yeah. See what you do. You hit that little thing right there.
Check one.
All right. Okay. If you got a problem with it, I got you, man.
I'm good.
You good? Okay. So you're gonna
hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Still kind of groggy, but I'm all right.
All right.
As long as you hear me, it's straight.
Hey, chat, can y'all hear him? Put a 1 in there if y'all can hear. They already anticipating it, bro.
Check one.
Yeah, I hear you. Check one. Put a 1 in the chat, man, if you can hear Chuck. All right, we got the one. If it's clear, it's clear. All right, we got the ones coming up, Chuck. Now this is gonna be a good one because this was one of the areas that we got tricked with.
All right.
Damn near 25 years ago. And so the fact that we was able to defeat the school of Malachi York is a feather out cap. Okay? Now, if y'all still promoting the Malachi York information by saying they black, you can't. We had elders that picked up the misinformation and pushed it forward. Now we got the younger brothers picking up the misinformation. If you know anything about Chuck Morgan, he never attacks people. He attacks a source. All right? And so this is not an attack. This is a straightening of the information so y'all can have it clear. He's going to be actually talking about non-African populations. And when I say non-African population, there was a movement of human beings out of Africa, right? It's called OOA, out of Africa. And once humans left out of Africa, they called them non-African. In the scientific literature, when they say non-African, they're simply trying to cue you into that environmental pressures cause mutations. So it wouldn't actually matter what color a person was or what they actually looked like. They're part of the non-African population that would later on, over thousands of years, migrate to the Americas. They arrived there somewhere between 30,000 and maybe 15,000 years ago. It wasn't a straight walk. The same thing when they get to Asia, they develop certain markers, right? And when they get to the area of Sumer, Western Asia, right, they develop certain markers. And people have been taking advantage of that for years. So I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to watch my man Chuck go in there. Remember here, Chuck was one of the first people that I actually heard talk about the biblical text. And he used the biblical text, he used the Sumerian text, he used all the texts, which kind of messed people up. So it was like, we just want to use the Bible. The show was entitled Scriptures Unlimited. So what I recognized at that early time, that man, all coaches got daggone scriptures, not just one. And that was an eye-opening for me. That was the start of me moving towards academic excellence. So sit back and enjoy this. This is going to be an academic treatise on who these people really are that they call the blackhead ones. That have been misrepresented in the conscious community from day one. They didn't know that Chuck was around. This is his area of study. Chuck, what's good, man? Man, let's get it in, bro. Let's do your thing, man. I know
My
what
zone.
Let's go, brother. Yeah, this is your spot. It's crazy.
All right. Shit. All right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Let me get ready to share this screen a little bit. But I want to first of all thank everyone. Thanks sa.neter for allowing me to grace this presentation to the public. Just want to give an opportunity for folks to get it from another perspective as far as how it is in Assyriology, Sumerian grammar, the history as is contained within the books. And and I'm glad you pointed something out, is that I'm not attacking any person specifically. I'm just addressing the methodology of certain sources and certain commentaries that were made that may have given a false depiction of how the ancient people called Sangha, how they were seen. And I just want to share what I know, what I've collected over the years. I've been dealing with this, matter of fact, for about 5 years, specifically this topic dealing with Sangha. I'm waiting to get this thing put in publication, and that's where it goes to the next level. It's in peer review, and we'll see how this thing goes. There's always room for improvement, but as it stands right now, this is rock solid. So let's dig up in this thing and keep it moving. 1, 2, 3, boom. Here we go. It's show time. All right. You can see my screen?
Loud and clear. We can hear you clear. We see the screen.
Can you see my screen?
And you cooking with hot grease.
All right, here we go. All right, now this is in direct response to a presentation that was done, I think last week or the week before. Again, this is just to address certain topics that were brought up that need some context and clarity from my profession, which is dealing in Assyriology. So what we have here is a presentation that I plan to examine certain claims made by Renoko Rashidi regarding the origins of Sumer and Alam. The focus is not ideology, identity, nor cultural pride, but methodology, specifically how early 20th century physical anthropology has been interpreted and in some cases misinterpreted. I will show that the cranial topologies cited in certain presentations and arguments are descriptive, pre-genetic, and constructs, not evidence based on race or DNA or African migration into Sumer. Relying on primary anthropological sources, modern scholarly reassessments, this presentation distinguishes what the sources actually say from what has later been claimed on their behalf. So I just wanted to lay that down as the forefront of where we go from here. So what we have here is we're going to address is the Kushite origins of Sumer and Alam by the great Renoko Rashidi. And one of the quotes that many of those who came with this theory of old was based on the Bible, and where it says, and Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty hunter, one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. So I hate to have to redo what was previously done, but I think that in order to bring context and walk it down, hey, we're going to have to go through it real fast. So what we have here is from page 217 of Renoko Rashidi's publication, his paper, where he makes the point where you can see, let me make this clear. This is Rashidi's commentary, and this is where he's citing a source. So in 1926 and again in 1928, the Field Museum and Oxford University conducted joint excavations in northern Sumer. At the conclusion of their work, they pronounced, and this is what he's saying, this is what they pronounced, the earliest historical crania, hypercephalic, and the Jamzet Nusser, 18 miles northeast of Kish, and those from Wide Trench at Kish. The forehead is retreated, the brow ridges are always prominent, and the cheekbones rather wide. The nose is broad, in some cases inclining to extreme platy-rind. Although the face is seldom survived, this is the type described by Sergi Giraffaria Ruggieri and Fleury and named the Eurafrican type. If anyone that remembers this presentation, he talks about how in an additional publication in the excavation at Kish, T.K. Penniman listed 3 distinct cranial groups. First, there was the Eurafrican. In ancient times, the type is found in Mesopotamia and Egypt and may be compared with the Kobe Capelle skull. It is possibly identical with the men who lived in the high desert west of the Nile in Paleolithic times, and is the type seen in the familiar portrait statues of Ramesses II. And secondly, it talks about the Mediterranean type, whose variants occur all the way from Java through India and Mesopotamia and on both sides of the Mediterranean and on and on and on. Thirdly is the Armenioid, whose relatives are found all over the Eurasiatic plateau and mountains from the Himalayas through the Persian highlands and Asia Minor. This should be pretty solid for folks who watched that previous presentation. What I'm about to show to the audience is from a book by anthropologist Henry Fields' The Anthropology of Iraq, 1935, based on the Oxford Field Museum's work at Kish. They compare living Iraqi men in fragmentary skeletal remains using 20th century racial typology, Mediterranean, Euro-African, Dolokse cephalic. I can never pronounce that properly. Cephalic. These comparisons were descriptive and typological, not genetic, and were never evidence of ancestry, migration, or racial identity. Using them today to argue that Sumerians were Black would revive a method that modern anthropology has long rejected. And as a footnote, the field anthropological leaflet that you will be seeing on number 28, page 32, technical cranial analysis appear in Fields' own work at the Oxford Field Museum's report. So let's walk. As we just read on page 217, the earliest historical crania, hyperholocephalic, are from Jamzet Nasser, 18 miles northeast of Kish, and those from the White Trench. What we have here, for those who need to understand, this is coming from Field himself, who was responsible for the expedition and the analysis. These are specimens who are, as you can see, dolichocephalic. These are individuals that they measure the face, measure the nose, did the whole thing that they were allegedly did with the skulls. And these are the images of what those who were responsible for the Kish expedition and analysis. These are what the individuals would have looked like. And as you can see, they look nothing as to being considered Negroid or Black. Like these are black and white photos, but I use AI to give you a more vivid picture. These are the actual images from the publication. Field Museum of Natural History, Anthropology, Volume 30, Plate 6. You got Plate 3, and on and on. I highly recommend you get the book because this is their work, and this is their analysis, and this is how they offer continuity to the viewer on what they deemed those results entailed. Where it talks about, secondly, there is the Mediterranean type, whose variant occur all the way from Java through India and Mesopotamia, and on both sides of the Mediterranean, on and on and on. What I wanted to highlight was that they have small, ill-filled dolichocephalic skulls with brow ridges poorly developed or absent. Bulging occipits, orbits are usually horizontal ellipses, broad noses, rather feeble jaws, and slight sinew bodies. In ancient times, their distribution was much the same as today. An occiput is the back part of the skull, and sinew body is considered a lean, muscular body. These are the types that they put in their publication. Those who were responsible for that Kish report. This is what they're saying. So there's no room, there's no ambiguity on what they were saying or what they were trying to say. There are Iraqi Mediterranean types, and then you have the classic Mediterranean type. So the Henry Field never described the Kish population as Black. Within early 20th century anthropology, he understood them as a local Mediterranean population of Iraq. Rashidi reused fields as technical descriptions, but reassign their meaning, treating Euro-African as evidence of an African founding population, a move Field himself never made. Methodologically, ancient self-representations outweigh modern racial projections. The Sumerians depicted themselves extensively, and those depictions provide a critical control on biological claims. The following are from Kish's own iconography, inlays, reliefs, shells, plates, standard depictions of Sumerians themselves. And this here is another one of those skeletal remains that is housed at the Penn Museum at the Archaeology and Anthropology Museum. So here we have the limestone inlay fragment had at the Ashmolean Oxford Museum, which has the largest collection of artifacts from Kish, the Kish area of Mesopotamia. And as you can see, these are very similar to those, as far as the way that they depict themselves, as what we have in, see, the Mediterranean type or any one of the Iraqi types. There's a continuity here with a broad nose, receding forehead. Yeah. Thirdly is the Armenoid, whose relatives are all found over the Eurasiatic plateau and mountains from the Himalayas through the Persian highlands and Asia Minor. This too, you have the Brachycephalic. These are additional specimens. These are all individuals that those who did the expedition measured the skulls and decided here are what the closest representation of the results look like, because these are living specimens at the time, 1920s, 1929, 1930s. And so what it says that of the 14 crania from Wide Trench at Kish, which Penniman examined, he described 2 as brachycephalic, 8 dolichocephalic, Euro-African, 2 Armenoid, and 2 mixed. Burton and Wright studies 26 crania, which, according to their report, consisted of 17 Euro-African, 5 Mediterranean, who are clearly ostrich, and 4 Armenoids. Incredibly, they conclude there were no traces of Negroid, i.e. Africoid blood, fortunately. We are in the position, that this is Runoko Rashidi's commentary, we are in the position to form our own conclusions. And we can only conclude that we are simply dealing with Eurocentric euphemisms for Black people. Now, if you want to walk with this as being a, quote, Black person, then you're free to do so. But this is not something that was stated. This does not reflect the iconography of the people of Kish themselves as a standard. So to go with it in your own opinion, that's fine. You can do that, but it's not scientifically or historically accurate. Quotes we just read from Rashidi reveal a direct contradiction between the source terminology and Rashidi's interpretations of that terminology. In the Kish report and subsequent anthropological publications, the population categories are used are consistently Mediterranean, Euro-African as a Mediterranean variant, and Armenoid. These labels reflect the typological framework of early 20th century anthropology and were not used interchangeably with Black or African in a racial sense. Rashidi's conclusions that these populations represent a Black or African racial identity does not derive from the original author's analysis, but from a modern reinterpretation imposed onto their terminology. None of the cited researchers clarified the Kish population as Black, Negroid, or Sub-Saharan African, nor did they equate Armenoid or Mediterranean types with African racial categories. In short, Rashidi retained the terminology of the sources while replacing their conclusions. I hope that's clear. The conclusions of the Kish study in 2026 considers the work outdated and methodologically invalid by modern bioanthropology. Researchers like Penniman use craniometry, skull measurements, and comparative anatomy, which were the standard practices in early 20th century physical anthropology. The classifications into Euro-African, Mediterranean, and Armenoid types align with the then dominant racial typology model, which sought to categorize humans into neatly fixed biological races with distinct origins and traits. This is one of the skeletal remains that they found at the entrance of one of the tombs at Kish, at the excavated site. Okay. It's important to note that according to Henry Field, a report about the expedition to Kish, he states, and this is from Henry Fields himself, who's responsible for it all. And I'm going to get right to the point. During the past 7 seasons, the expedition has revealed the culture and artistic attainments of the inhabitants of Kish and Yamzet Nasser from the earliest occupation, perhaps 6,000 years ago, down to the Arabs of yesteryear. Thousands of museum objects have been unearthed, including the oldest wheel vehicle in the world, many imported tables, unique examples of painted ware, and numerous other antiquities. But what you want to pull away from this important quote was how he identified that the earliest occupation, perhaps 6,000 years ago, down to the Arabs of yesteryear. We're talking about that same continuity of what these people basically look like. And you can always find this at the Field Museum, Oxford University Expedition to Kish, Mesopotamia, 1923-1929 by Henry Field. Field explicitly frames Kish as a case of long-term regional continuity rather than population replacement. His formulation links the earliest occupation directly to later Mesopotamian populations, leaving no textual basis for an African colonization, replacement, or lost Black civilization model. Any such reading is a modern imposition, not a conclusion drawn by Field or the Oxford Field Expedition team. And according to Dr. Jean M. Evans of the Oriental Institute Museum, the study is at best incomplete. It's at best incomplete. And she points out in her book, The Lives of Sumerian Sculpture, and Archaeology of the Early Dynastic Temple by Jean M. Evans, Sumerian skeletal remains. In reality, so-called Sumerian skeletal remains were scant, and few skulls in particular were complete. By the 1930s, the only Sumerian skulls that had been published were those excavated at the sites at Yamzet Nasser, Tel al-Ubaid, and Ur and Kish, while skeletal remains were sometimes excavated at relatively large quantities. Their poor condition usually did not allow the full set of requisite measurements to be taken. Of the some 70 graves excavated at the Wide Cemetery at Kish, for example, only some 8 associated skulls and crania were recovered and sent to the University of Oxford, and some 7 were sent to the Field Museum in Chicago. Heated candle wax had been poured over some of the Kish skulls in order to extract them from the ground, because the bones were so soft that they crumbled like damp sawdust or bent as though they were made of putty. Upon their arrival at Oxford, for example, it proved difficult to remove the wax and dirt. In some cases, the bones had been moistened with hot glue and water so that they could be bent into position. Only some of the standard measurements could be taken. The possibility of accurate measurement in general was diminished. And I think that was critical information based on what we have as some people having a confirmed, including Field himself, as having a confirmed, definitive image of what these people look like by way of the skulls. We're not even dealing with the skulls. We're just dealing with how what he claimed as being what these people look like. It couldn't be definitive because based on what we have here, they're just having to work and bench things in the place to make it fit it to be something that it may not be. And Gene Evans is the chief curator and deputy director and research associate of the Oriental Museum, University of Chicago, and a past member of the curatorial staff at the Metropolitan Museum of Art from 1999 to 2008. Now, moving on, because I'm almost done, Franz Boas, the pioneer of plasticity, is often called the father of American anthropology. Even before Kish was excavated, Franz Boas had already shown that skull shape changes within a single generation meant that early in craniometry, it could not have been a defined race. I don't know if people caught that. Even before they had started the excavation, Boas had already demonstrated that the skull shape changes in skull shapes, they change within a single generation. And that means that, or that meant that early craniometry could not define race. This is a good book. You should check it out. You can find the PDF online. Here is Dr. Elizabeth DeGangi, a leading bioanthropologist who has shown that modern ancestry estimation methods are rooted in outdated racial typology. In her 2021 study, Uncloaking a Lost Cause, she demonstrates that many cranial traits used to assign ancestry were standardized in the 19th century to support racial hierarchies, not biological reality. Her conclusions is made clear. Skull shape does not reliably indicate race, ancestry, or population origin. Using it to do so reproduces obsolete race science. So when someone in 2026 argues race or ancestry from skull shape, they're not applying modern biological anthropology. They're recycling outdated 19th century racial typology. In the late 19th century and 20th centuries, museums and scholars believed that identifying a people's race meant identifying their head shape. Institutions like the Louvre prioritized recovering heads from the ancient statues, such as those of Sumerian ruler who was a governor, Gudea, to define who the Sumerians were. These early typologies distinguish Sumerians, Assyrians, Egyptians, and others using skull forms, facial hair, and artistic conventions. At the time, this was considered cutting-edge science. Today, even in Assyriology, this entire approach is rejected and recognized as pseudoscience. Some writers continue to argue for Black Sumerian theory by relying on the results of an abandoned scientific framework, craniometry. Assyriologists like Thorkley Jacobson explains this early race-based model as a product of his time, from his period in time. And he says there was a virtual unanimity about what had shaped early Mesopotamian history. It was race. Sumerians fighting Semites. Races differed in in physique and in character. So cranial measurement shapes of noses and even bearded or beardless were matters of the moment. It was not until 1937 and 38 that in Chicago, I found, rather to my surprise, that there was no such evidence and so presumably no such racial conflict. Dr. Jacobson searching for Sumer and Akkad in civilizations of the ancient Near East, and you can pull this up on in the volume 4 series on page 2747. And is also quoted in Lives of Sumerian Sculpture and Archaeology of the Early Dynastic Temple by Gene M. Evans. Now this is we'll go into another slide that I'm gonna, because this stuff is so extensive. Unc and I decided that we're gonna have to do like a short series on this. Unc, you still there? I don't know if you can hear me, but we had figured that because my slides run like 150, 200 on different, because there's so much to collect and gather. We're going to just spread this out and try to get it and make it clear so that we don't overload the audience with so much information. And so one of the articles that I'm going to pull up will be centered on Kish and what we have as far as what Renoko Rashidi says here. The early predominance of Lower Mesopotamian city, the Sumerians called Kish, one of their most ancient, may be another bond between the Sumerians and the Nile Valley. Sumerian Kush is apparently only a modification of the Neolithic Kush, and thus reflects an unsevered connection between the two territories. And basically saying that Kish and Kush basically are the same word. And they're basing that on the biblical reference, which is not based on the facts. So I'm going to stop it here. And I don't know if can you hear, are you still there, Unc?
Yeah, you're doing a great job, bro. I can hear you. You finished?
Well, I wanted to.
That was good right there. That was dope, bro. Yeah, that was super
Yeah,
dope.
I mean, I don't know if you have any. Well, I guess we take questions after
Yeah,
we
we're gonna let him up and have
complete
some
that.
questions. Let's get us on let's get us on the screen, man. That was
There
great,
was
bro. Go ahead.
something I wanted to. You got okay. Okay, cool. Let me do this. Let me do this real fast. I'm not gonna get into in depth because, like I said, we're going to break this up into pockets.
Yeah, we're
Because
gonna do that. We're gonna do it. Yeah.
as you know,
Mm.
I'm pretty long-winded when it comes to this stuff, especially this one. This one is going to be from my publication that is in peer review now. I had a couple of seriologists are going through it, and so far so good. And this is going to be my crowning achievement in my 61 years of life. And I think that it'll be a useful tool in not only combating the misinformation, but also
Mhm.
an eye-opening to the Sumerian peoples themselves. But let me go back up here.
So hold on, let's take a
I
little
just put
break
this
right
in
here.
today. So where it says here, the Sumerian.
Hold on for a minute.
You
Let
want to
me
put a
put
pause?
this up. Yeah, just put a pause. Right. I just
You want
want
to
to
pause?
promote the mates. Yeah, just for a second. Y'all grab your juice, whatever y'all gonna get. We're gonna get to the second part of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good, man. You right on schedule, man. I like that. That was some good work right there. Make sure when y'all get up here to ask your questions
Yeah.
around the anthropology, the cranial stuff. Just try to stick to that, right? And then the second part, we're gonna do an actual series. We're gonna let Chuck do a series so he can educate you. And Chuck, to be honest with you, bro, you know there's always this mandate, and I feel like the mandate wasn't real. The mandate was we should teach our history, right? And not allow other people to teach it because the other people or white people have not been responsible and they're trying to hide our story. So we want to take that command and do it. That was the mandate, right? That means we was correcting white people who hid our history from us. I always say They didn't actually hide it. They hid it in a secret vault called the library in the universities, right? So we can't then come behind that and produce wild
I like
pseudo
that.
information claiming that we're fixing it, right? Because if the mandate holds true, then once we know our history, then we supposed to move forward because they who know their history, right, know where they at. And when you know where you at, you know where the hell you going. But if you make up something and think you indigenous Indians and the blackhead people because of the word black, then how are you ever moving forward? So these presentations like this, based in scholarly treaties, is some of the most important work that can happen, right, on sa.neter TV. It just is because it causes you to think. It shows you how to feel, move. It teaches you how to look at certain reports. And why is Chuck saying it? Don't nobody love black people no more than Chuck and me. That's real. You cannot say that. That man been dedicating his life for free for damn near the last 30 years, bro. And all the stuff he done had to go through and all the mistakes. You know what I'm saying? So why would he say that? Because he's giving it to you straight up and down. So if you understand interconnecting history, right, which is Sumerians and the Mesopotamian people, they formed the Mediterranean, but they didn't form it by themselves. They formed it with indigenous Nile Valley culture. And so, of course, you're supposed to understand the interaction. That way you can make the separation when it's time, that way you can see the interaction and separation, and then you really learn the platform. So Chuck, let me just do this real quick because I want y'all, these debates lately have been very, very important. It is important to understand that one, we are animals, and two, we are primates. If you can't understand that, it's going to be hard to understand Chuck's information because Chuck was giving you a glimpse into anthropology. In anthropology, humans are humans, and humans are animals, and humans are primates. In anthropology, this is the next level. This is the foundation of the world and how they understand the world in biology. So this debate right here, are we animals? The link is in the description. Go get it. It's $30, man. Nepal and Naphtali. One is coming from an anthropological, scientific approach, and one is coming from a biblical approach. You're going to say, well, she's not going to use the Bible. Right. She's definitely not going to use science. The next debate, monkey or man. There are going to be statues that anthropology has made decision on based off of studying the culture in Mesoamerica. Okay? The outer Africa theory is never in question. It's a scientific theory. And so once you understand the outer Africa theory, and once you understand from an anthropological scientific way that we are animals, and then you can actually sit down and enjoy Chuck Morgan's presentation. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. But if you thinking evolution is crazy and you thinking humans didn't evolve in Africa or left out and mutated based off of radiation, breaking down the DNA, which causes mutates, causes mistakes. If you sitting here saying that none of that make no sense, then you're gonna always say, well, yeah, they the black people. So go ahead, hit the Cash App or drop the Cash App. Make sure you hit that. Show the love. Make sure you buy the debates. Very educational debates. Very important. So let's get back to Chuck Morgan, his second half of his presentation. Remember, he's going to do a series on this. So write your questions down. Get your questions together right now because it's serious out here. Go ahead, Brother Chuck, man.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so this one here is I just added this today. So anyway, it talks about something that from that same publication where Inoko Rashidi states that the Sumerians called themselves the Blackheaded People, and they must have been only one of the many Neolithic or Nilotic Kushite colonies established in early Asia. This is where the problem comes in because, well, if we were to say black-headed, somehow, for some reason, people have extracted that word into either African or black people or quote unquote Negroes. And that's just not the case. And I think I spent more time on this topic than anybody. Because I'm a part of different groups, Discord, and very familiar with a number of seriologists, and we have conversations. And some of the points that I've brought up, and I'm probably the only brother that's ever been in this thing like this to this extent. There's a couple of PhD candidates I'm aware of, but when their work comes out, you'll see what I mean. And they're just amazed that I'm able to at least put certain things together. And one of them was because one of the seriologists had a thesis in his PhD candidacy was on ancient Kish, and I had brought something up to he brought it to his attention about Kish and certain other words, because we in ancient Sumer, particularly even Kish, well, you do have a word Kush, but it's not what you think it is. And if we have time, we'll go through that extensively. So the Sumerians, did they have black heads? That was part of the cover that you had out earlier, but this is exactly what it implies: a black head and whatever body. Because we look at the way that they depicted themselves, we don't find it a black head and then whatever body. So in the abstract, this presentation critically examines the Sumerian ethnonym Sangiga, often translated in early scholarship as blackheads and recently misappropriated in fringe discourse to assert that the Sumerians identified themselves as black people in a racial sense. Drawing on current Assyriology or Assyriological evidence, philology analysis, and contextual reading of primary texts, this study demonstrates that Sangiga functions as a literary, symbolic, and theological designation rather than a racial descriptor. The term appears predominantly in late Sumerian literature, or 3 onward, from the or 3 period and so on, and is tied to divine favor and anthropological concepts of humanity, paralleling the Akkadian Zamat Khali as a figurative reference to humankind or human beings rather than the phenotype. Earlier and more common autonyms, such as Namlulu, human community or people, that it lacked any chromatic component. Furthermore, the absence of color-based descriptors in administrative records were pragmatic. Physical identification was common, reinforces the non-racialized usage of black-headed. Reinforcing the non-racialized usage of black-headed. This presentation stipulates Sangiga within its mytho-religious settings, analyzing its morphological components and contrast it with hypothetical but unattested constructions like Namlugi, black people, or Namlubabar, white people, emphasizing their total absence from the Sumerian corpus. Ultimately, the evidence shows that the Sumerians did not conceive of ethnic or racial identity through modern color-based categories. Rather, Sangiga reflects a theological anthropology of divine human relations, not biological race. Sangiga is an idiom. It's an idiom meaning, I don't know why I can't pronounce it right now. An idiom meaning human beings, not a physical description or literal black-headed people. Now, when we go to the Lamet of Sumer and Urim on line 33, this is what Enlil, the shepherd of humanity, did. Now, if you want to have context, you'll say, the shepherd of the black-headed makes no sense. But if we understand that these people were a special people who were the humanity who were charged with worshiping the gods, then it makes sense that Sangiga wasn't talking about a literal, it was an idiot. I don't know why I can't pronounce that word. Idiom. Let me move on. Sangiga is a late linguistic innovation appearing around 2100 BCE. It was invented by the state literary elite to describe a relationship between the king, the gods, and humanity. It doesn't exist in the early dynastic periods, and that's important. The gods and the kings treated them like beloved sheep, with the gods being their shepherd. The gods, and in some cases, the kings. Idiom. Oh, I can't pronounce that sometimes. Past, and this is key, past Assyriologists like Professor Emeritus of Assyriology, Sumerian language and history, Professor Samuel Kramer explained and simplified the meaning of the name Sangiga in his 1963 book, The Sumerians, Their History, Culture, and Character, page 284 through 85. Now, this is what he says. Inhabiting the four corners of the earth were the Namlulu. This is a Sumerian compound word, probably consisting of Lu, which is Lu2 man, reduplicated, and the participle and nam used to form abstract nouns. It therefore corresponds in formation to the English mankind. The Sumerian people, the Blackheads, as they call themselves, from at least 2000 BC on, were only a part of this larger mankind, but needless to say, a very important part. In fact, they were so important a part that, at least in one case, the Blackheads seemed to be identified with humanity as a whole. Thus, there is a passage in the first part of the long-known Sumerian flood myth, which reads, after An, Enki, and Ninhursag had finished, the black-headed people, vegetation luxuriated from the earth, animals, four-legged creatures, and the plains were brought artfully into existence. Here, then, the blackheads seem to be juxtaposed with plants and animals, as if the word referred to mankind as a whole. Professor Kramer's analysis was clear. These people called blackheads were more than just people in their literature. They were a people who the gods saw as unique. Kramer observed that in mythological context, the black-headed ones appeared as humanity, not as a phenotypic group. Sangiga, in early English translations, blackheads, was a name derived in part from the Akkadian word zamat kakadi, meaning humanity, which would have been the Akkadian take on the name Namlulu. And as Professor Kramer indicated, Sangiga was the name they would call themselves after the Akkadian and Gutian occupation. But the concept behind the name didn't change. Samuel Kramer understood black-headed as a cultural term for humans and not a race. Today's Assyriologists, such as Professor of Near Eastern Languages and Civilizations at Yale University, Dr. Eckhart Fromm, in the Cuneiform Commentaries Project, demonstrates how the ancient scribal gloss directly equates mankind, the people, and humanity. This is evident in Sangiga, that in Sangiga it was well understood by the Mesopotamian scholars themselves as a universal term for humanity, not as a descriptor for phenotypical race, leaving no room for anything that was ambiguous as far as a racial reinterpretation of it. From the series is a first millennium bilingual commentary, which is most of these first millennial bilingual texts, they are commentary texts from the Assyrian scribal traditions. The Sumerian phrase Sangiga is explicitly glossed or translated by the ancient commentaries themselves. The text belonged to the Uduho corpus, commentary on Uruho 2 through 4, a Mesopotamian incantation series used for exorcisms and exorcistic rituals purposes, and is preserved in a scholastic table or tablet from the house of the exorcist at Ashur. If Mesopotamian scholars thought Sangiga meant a race of black people, this tablet is exactly where they would have said so, but they didn't. And here is that inscription here. And we're going to go through it line by line. So in line 1, these are bilingual texts. And what we have here, the first word we can see is Namlu Ulu. And then you have Sangiga K, or K4. And then underneath it, you have the Akkadian, which is Amilu, Nisi, Zamat Kakadi, Anunu, Namir, Shulu, Shukalia. So what you have there in translation is mankind, the people, the black-headed. This is clear, each threefold. This is what is translated as mankind, the people, humanity, but I'm gonna keep black-headed there for the moment. And this is clear, each is threefold. So they're literally telling you that they're all the same. This is clear, each threefold. Now, when I was reading this thing, or when I was watching that presentation, I looked at this thing and I said, something's wrong with this picture, because as an intermediate Sumerian language student, you're familiar with certain key terminology, especially in my case. When I see Sagiga, I automatically know how it's inscribed. So when I looked at this, I saw cuneiform, then saw Sa and Gi, but then I didn't see Ga here. And I had to put this one in a red flag on that. I said, wait a minute, where are they getting this? Obviously, this is from some kind of AI publication or freeze. And I noticed that with the little bullet points. But it has Sagi and was initially from Babylonian, which is the word for people. And they had the transliteration as Sangi Ga Sang head, Gi black, Ga genitive of people folk, meaning the black-headed people. But there's something wrong with the grammar. And this is what I specialize in, the grammar of Sumer. So when I say Sang, head, and head can be a physical head, or it can be a leader or someone in a prominent position or front. And you have Gi, black is generally seen as black. Then I saw this Ga, genitive of. That's incorrect. So whoever put this up, they made a mistake. And obviously they didn't know Sumerian grammar, because this is a base level. You'll learn this in on the introductory level in Sumerian grammar. So in this case, what we have here, the genitive case marker of is always and exclusively Ankh. Ankh. It's not Ga. It's not Ga. It never changes its fundamental identity to Ga. The suffix appearing as Ga in Sangiga is actually the nominalized suffix A, because the word for black, being Gi, ends in a G in transliteration. So it ends in a G. The grammatical rules require that the G is written again or duplicated before the vowel Gig and A, where you get Giga. So if they think that this image is supposed to be a representation of the breakdown, in that the guy is a genitive of black, that's a grammatical error. And in Sumerian, adjectives follow the nouns that they modify directly. They don't require a genitive of to describe the noun. It's head black, not head of black. Is not and cannot be a genitive marker. So whoever put that together just made a mistake, you know. And that's one of the things that I saw. I said, okay, I don't know how or why that was put up like that, but this anybody can pull up any book on Sumerian grammar, and you'll see just in the elementary level, you'll know that it'll give you clear indications of what these what a genitive is versus a dative, and on and on and on. But this is clearly wrong. So this is definitely a mistake, or I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but this is definitely misleading when you see this. But to have this and that word is an error. So anyway, the phrase is when you have Namlulu, mankind, is further specified by the conventional epithet Sangiga. This is confirmed by its Akkadian colloc, Samat Kakadi, which denotes humanity or the populace, not a racial group. The suffix ga is not a genitive in Sumerian grammar. Genitive in Sumerian is Ankh. You can go to two of my teachers, Dr. Joshua Bowen and Megan Lewis, in the page 37 book of how to learn to read Sumerian. The ga here is part of the lexicalized compound epithet, not a case marker. Treating it as a genitive of is grammatically incorrect. And is people. So Sangiga, a conventional collective epithet applied to humanity. They're stacked noun phases, not ethnic labels. So when you see like here, where is it? Right here. Okay, so you have Sangi, Ga, and you have K or K4. In the sentence, it's just used as a noun phrase as the grammatical subject or the subject agent, the actor agent, as we were taught. As an example, you have Sangiga Ke E Muundu, which means the people built the temple. The K4 simply marks Sangiga as the doer of Muundu. Do 3 means to build. So Muundu is the verbal chain where it says that he built or they built. Now, this same construction is attested in early Sumerian inscriptions. In the Rulers of Lagash, the tablet, which has 3 different Sumerian expressions for humanity, also appearing together. You have Nam Lu'ulu, so mankind. You have Numun Nam Lu'ulu, seed of mankind. And of course, Sangiga, humanity. These Earth 3 Sumerian scribes used these interchangeably to describe human beings and not a race. The Akkadian gloss in the Urdu commentary supports this, where the scribe explicitly defines Sangiga as mankind, humanity, the people. Together, these texts proves that the term was universal and ideological, not referring to any phenotypic group or race. Well, we could go to the Rulers of Lagash lines 1 through 5. It's real clear. You can see it right up in here. And I put it in blue so people can see it. You have the Namlu'ulu. You have the Namlu'ulu. And then you have Numun Namlu'ulu. And then you have Imi in Tika or Taka 4, which is to leave intact, preserve. So we would translate it as when the seed of mankind was preserved. Unsangiga, which is humanity, you have where is it? You have Nibi'a, and that is in their vitality or in the strength. So the verb ili, what you have here, ili, means restoration of social order after the flood. So this line is describing the reestablishment of humanity after the flood. The electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature, translated as after the flood had swept over and destroyed the lands, when mankind was made to endure and the seed of mankind was preserved, humanity was restored to its former vitality. Two excellent sources that I use on the grammar verifying this can be found in Dr. Bram Jagersman's 2010 book, where he points out how Ga in Sagiga is adjectival, turning ideas into descriptions. It doesn't describe physical traits unless the base word clearly does. In the descriptive grammar of Sumerian, on pages 181 through 182, in the section adjectivical or adjectival derivation, Jagersman explains that Ga forms adjectives, meaning characterized by the property expression by the base. He uses examples like kalak or kalakga, meaning strong. And of course, Ezra's book, 2023, in Sumerian grammar, he has sagiga as an idiom, a phrase that means something as a whole, not word by word, like head over heels mean to be in love. On pages 53 and 163, 164, he explicitly treats Sangiga as a lexicalized expression meaning human beings, not a literal physical description. He notes that it's a conventional and idiomatic, not descriptive anthropological or anthropology. So Sangiga means human beings because Sumerian grammar uses Ga to form adjectives, and scholars shows this that the phrase is idiomatic and does not describe skin color. So what I'm doing here, if I sound kind of redundant, I'm going on here. I'm showing you that grammatically that word has no bearing whatsoever on describing a people as being Black people, Africans, Negroids. So to the Sumerians, Sagiga didn't mean people whose heads were literally black. It meant people who have a certain shared quality. The ending ga works like y or is in English, rainy, rainy, fun, funny, strength, strong. In Sumerian, gi is the base idea, ga is having the quality. Lines 3 through 5 of the Rulers of Lagash makes this real clear. Now, this is important, and I want to do this real quick. So we just went through the fact that nowhere in the grammar does it indicate a Black people. However, through the Neo-Assyrians, they made it explicitly clear. So that means they already knew how to describe Black people. In an Assyrian inscription, not Sumerian, the Assyrians describe Black people as having black skin like asphalt, a direct reference to Kushites, not Sumerians. The text explicitly lists Taharka, his wives, sons, and daughters as the family of the Kushite ruler taken as booty. In a fragmentary cuneiform tablet, K8692, we read, his wives, his sons, and daughters, whose bodies, like his, have black skins like asphalt. Beauty men, he counted as booty. This is by Taharka, king of Kush, and the Assyrians by Daniel Khan, and you'll also find an excerpt in W.G. Lambert's Booty from Egypt in 1982. So if they wanted to say that someone was Black, if we forget about any kind of African description by name, but if there was a word that we have for Black, then it's very clear that they already had one for it, but they didn't apply it to the Sumerians. They didn't do it to themselves, nor to anybody else. And then we're going into different things that's more linked into how the book is going to be structured. I want to get down to some major points that I thought were relevant. With an example, with example after example, it's clear that the Sumerians knew the difference between a black head versus a black-skinned person. The following are a set of examples where the Sumerians identified livestock and other items as completely black rather than having just a black head. So you have Dugi, Udu-gi, Shagi, Mashgalgi, Hung-ud-gi, Kal-agubad, black bear, black sheep, black pig, black billy goat, black garment. The entire text corpus of Sumerian literature thus far has no examples of black being applied to people or humans, which would be Namlugi, black people or black humanity. Likewise, Namlu Babar, white or white people. So when I argue with people who are into the white supremacist thing, they try to use it because they use these statues with blue eyes. They say, see, I always make I make the same point that I'm making here. If they wanted to say that, they would have. If they wanted to say that the Sumerians, we were white people, it would have been done, but it wasn't. So they didn't call themselves black, and they didn't call themselves white. So both sides loses. Sagiga is first found in a literary inscription written during the reign of Lugal Zuen, the king Zuen, the fourth king of the Ur-3 period, the son of Lugal Sugi. This represents the earliest known use of the word to date. Now, as more inscriptions are being deciphered, or I'm not deciphered, being translated, certainly you may come up with something that may be older. But as it stands today, you won't find it. So this literary tablet was excavated at Nippur and now at the University of Pennsylvania. Let me see if I can try to get what's relevant. So I put these hypothetical constructions as examples. And again, these are hypothetical. They're not found in any Sumerian inscription, so you can't use them. So you have, you find Sagiga as being a genitive, as an owner indicating possession. So you have Sagi, the absolutive, endless, meaning endless. You have Sagigi, ergative, collective, Sagiga, of course, Sagishi, or she, terminative, to, towards, in one's direction. Sagira, which is the dative, to or for. Sagida, the comitative, with. Sagigin, the equative, like, in manner, similar. Sagia, the locative, in, into. But in Sumerian literature, you won't find these other than as being a standalone word rather than what we're about to walk through here. The morphological impossibility that Sagiga meant black people, if it were true, then the Sumerian literature would show it. The following are additional hypothetical constructions where you have Sagigu, my black person, Sagira, to or for the black people, Sagida, with the black people. That's if it meant black people, but it doesn't. Sagishe, towards the black people. Sagik in the black people, and Sagigin, like the black people. Not one of the above sentences exists in Sumerian literature, not in the early dynastic 3A period, not in the Ur-3 period, not in the Old Babylonian, not anywhere across the full digital Sumerian corpus. You can check with the CDLI, the EPSD, the ORIC, the EDTS, nowhere. The Sagiga appears only in a ritual, literary, and administrative context, but never as an ethnonym, never as a population label, and never referring to skin color, definitely not a phenotype. By contrast, genuine ethnonyms like Luuriki Mara, men of the city of Ur, Lushiber Kimada, together with the Sumerian men, you have Subir and you have Elam. Ki is a determinative identifying a place name or a toponym. These appear in hundreds of case forms across all periods, proving the grammar fully supports ethnonyms when they function as ethnonyms. Sagiga never behaves as one. Sumerian ethnonyms always appear with plural markers like na, determinatives, case endings, possessives, and verbal agreements. Sagiga lacks any of the above. If it meant black people, then we'd see it at least one mention, but we don't find any. Like you said, Sagiga N, Sagiga B, Sagiga Mien, Sagiga A. So I don't know if I'm going too far because I'm really getting into this thing because I'm kind of like
where
this
you
is
at?
my
You
nerd
got
moment,
another go? You
and I
got
don't want to
another?
go too far. But I just want to lay that foundation before we
All right.
move into like another part of the series.
All right. So let's stop right there. Let's let the people up
Yeah.
for some questions.
All right, I'm
now.
gonna stop right here.
Yeah, you did a good solid hour, 20 minutes of getting into it, and that's good. That's a good solid hour, man. There should be some good questions coming out of this, man. Where the bomb squad at? I know they got their take on it. Where y'all at? Where the people who are interested in it, trying to figure out why we don't think they indigenous African people. I think these questions are actually needed. I think it's healthy. An unhealthy situation would be elders or those that are older than us use their age as a limit to what type of questions we ask them, as long as it's respectful. It's actually disrespectful to John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben and them, to scientists, to misconstrue the things that they say and then not ask them questions, right? It's our job to falsify the information, y'all. It's not our job to continue to push bad information because there's a mandate, remember? The mandate is, I'm going to change the mandate. The mandate is, Chuck, get the shit right. Right? And at least we will be more healthy for it. It might not make you be successful in your life, yo, but at least you're not sitting around here half crazy saying any damn thing. You know what I'm saying? I think that's an important, part we need to really kind of get that straight. So I dropped the link. You drop the link again. All right, y'all come on through. All right, and let's ask them heavy questions, man. All right.
Yeah, this might be the toughest environment because I was saying this is what's that thing on that mantra, the toughest environment? It's like, yeah, I'm willing to take any question, try, proven, and willing to be proven again. Because this is thorough. There's no wiggle room. There's no wiggle room from this. It is what it is. It's historically backed. You're not going to find anything that's going to counter that is based on opinions and hypothetical claims that just don't pan out based on the evidence from the grammar to the historical accuracy of it, even through anthropology. You can't use the DNA argument because there's never been any Sumerian DNA used that's been extracted that has been successfully used. The closest that they've been able to do is they've been able to use DNA example, I think from a 2011 study where they used the DNA of people who lived along the marsh. But these are not from any skeletal remains that's been excavated from any of the sites from Kish down to Eridu.
Yeah, so I see what's going on. I see something that he promoting the debates. Yeah, Sanet over there promoting the debates on Black News 102 right now. So that might be
I want all the smoke. I'm a smoke catcher. Yeah, give it up.
It's just gonna be kind of hard right now because he over there on the other channel and he got like 300 something people watching it, so they ain't even tuned in right now.
Man, it's all good. Like I said, I want to put this in the record. And of course, anyone can slow it down, chop it up, rewind it, sample it, analyze it, scrutinize it, criticize it. The point is, it's irrefutable. I put the challenge to certain individuals who specialize in it, and they couldn't find a wiggle out of it.
You
So I
can't get
know
out.
it's been true. It's been tried and proven. I've taken this thing to uh, professionals. I mean, they've already understood the fact that Sumerian, the word did not mean black people, but unfortunately, with individuals like Hermann Hermstein, in a sense, Sarah Imhotep, and a whole bunch of other people who are opportunists, who are just
Oh,
putting out books and making a quick dime off the people by specializing in topics that the general population have no specialty in. Trying to link it with some cognate from Proto-Bantu and all this other stuff. No, that's pseudo.
Pseudoscientific behavior at all levels. At all levels. But we're gonna do this series. We're gonna get this cracking like this, man. We're gonna get you this on the record, bro. And it's super
Yeah, we're gonna
silence.
do it. Yeah, I've been trying to get on. I've been trying to get on this channel for the longest. I mean, when I did my stuff with the whole Nawabian thing, it was what it was. I have working with a producer where a documentary is going to be a whole nother level of this thing. It's going to be something that's never been done before. And I'm going to be featured in it this time, and along with a couple of individuals who were there. That's something that's in the works. So I haven't dealt with the topic in quite a while, because my passion right now, of course, is something that I was dealing with before I dealt with the whole York thing. My stuff goes all the way back to the 70s, and, going through that whole Zechariah Sitchin nonsense and Anunnaki, Nibiru, all that stuff. It just was it was a stepping stone process to where I am now.
Correct.
And where I am now, I see a lot of young people who are rising up, and man, it's a good thing to see. It's just we want to make sure that they're getting the accurate information. Because when you get out there, when you're dealing with, you've seen the videos where I'm in class with all these white people and other groups, Arabs in there, and all these people we're all on the same level as being Sumerian language grammar students. I'm the only brother there. And hopefully there'll be others that's going to come, or maybe I'm laying the foundation and I'm going to pave the way for a new generation that's going to come.
It's needed, Chuck. We got Mozzie on here, man. What's your question, man, for the author and the astute student of Sumerian culture and language, yo? What's your question for Mozzie? How you doing? Welcome to the platform, bro. Can't hear you. You got to unmute. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. The ancestors say he was going to come up here and make up something so they can mute you out. I swear I can't. Let me see. All right, your mic is good. I don't hear you. Can't hear him, right, Chuck? You can't hear nothing, right?
No, I can't hear. No, I can't hear.
Go out and come back in.
Moses. I was trying to catch up. With that brother plenty of times. Whenever I see him in the chat, I ask him questions.
I know, man. He be going hard, man. He be going super hard. But yeah, that was a good period. I like that right there in that sweet spot right there, Chuck. You need to do about 5 more of these, yo. Yeah. I know your work.
Well, I got more than enough material. This slide alone is 180 slides, and I don't want to crush anybody's head with a whole bunch of information, but it covers a vast level of different topics associated.
Go ahead, Maz. What's up, man?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, hear you, bro. What's the question, man?
All right, man. First, I want to say, ancestors' protection be around the gods resurrecting on earth. Peace and blessings to you, Mr. Chuck Morgan. So, I came in late. I saw what your topic was about the black-headed ones, and I missed what your explanation was in regards to why these people are referred to as the black-headed ones.
Go pull it real quick, Chuck. Show him why.
Again, because there's a lag in the voice.
He said he missed you.
It's real slow.
He said
can you reiterate the question?
Go ahead, Mozzie. He said he missed the slide on why you saying that the black-headed ones aren't black.
That wasn't my question. Okay. My question, what I said was I missed. I came in late and I didn't hear your explanation as to why these people were referred to as the black-headed ones. why are they referred to as the black-headed ones?
Well, okay, I can simplify it. Yeah. Okay, so as an idiom, black-headed, as we would translate it, would be literally black head, but that phrase is a word that is exclusively referencing a people. Humanity is generally the term that's applied, and in context, through line after line in their literature, is making reference to these special people, not literally as having black heads. That's why.
Okay, so Ankh, you sharing screens, man, or you got a problem with me showing slides like sa.neter got a problem with me showing slides?
I mean, you just can't. I mean, what you saying? Did you hear what his explanation was?
Yeah, but now I got another question because I heard the word special people. Did I hear special people? I did hear that, right?
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna show you something real quick, and I'm gonna ask you a question about this. I come from a particular school of thought, but I just want to run this by you and see what your take is on this.
Okay.
1 second.
You want my opinion?
Yeah, I just want to see what your response is to this that I'm about ready to show you in regards to them being called the black-headed ones.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. Damn, I can't get none of them to pull up. All right.
Take your time.
Yeah, I just this one that I have already, it kind of cuts off the head, but let me try another one real quick.
So what you doing, a lookership?
No. I'm just it goes back, to my original argument, man. When I be going in on you, trying to make Africans out to be like the same species as Indians, Asians, and Caucasians. You know what I'm saying? I'm basically going down that same road, but it's not about lookership. Let me see if these folks let me share their shit. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to cuss. Sorry about that.
So how far are you extending the African population?
Send it to
the entire. All right. So the entire continent of Africa.
Want to send it to me?
Hold on a second. I might not have to. Hold up. Let me see something.
Right, you can put it right here in the thing. All right, keep looking for it. Yeah, but Chuck, so what do you say about people who are African?
Here go one. We gotta show it. We gotta flash it real fast though. All right. Okay. So obviously this is what we refer to as an African with clean leprosy. Okay, let's take it down because that's a Getty image, man. I don't want nobody to flag the channel.
No, you good with that?
All right, so y'all see where I'm coming from. I'm talking about African albinos, people with wool hair, or what I like to refer to as non-ether hair, right?
Okay.
All right, so is it possible that they were referring to these people who were melanin recessive, suffering from clean leprosy, not able to really exist on the continent of Africa because of the sun causing them conditions, so they migrate, into that particular territory so that they wouldn't have any issues with the sun, but they're referred to as the black-headed ones because they have the same type hair as Africans. Is that a possibility why they was referred to as the black-headed ones, because they was African albinos?
No,
we don't find any evidence to support a theory like that.
No. What would be a term?
There's nothing that would even remotely resembles a Sorry?
I was asking, so there's no term in the Sumerian lexicon that refers to Africans with clean leprosy?
That refers to what? You broke up at the end.
Okay. I'm asking, is there not something in the Sumerian lexicon that refers to African albinos or Africans with clean leprosy or suffering with clean leprosy? Is there not a word that identifies them in that Sumerian language? What they write, cuneiform? So there's nothing in cuneiform that identifies these Africans with that are melanin recessive?
Cuneiform is a wedge script.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's no word that they have in Sumerian for leprosy.
All right. All
The
right. So let
language
me
is called Emir, and no. Huh?
No, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. There's in the entire Sumerian lexicon, the entire text corpus, which is literally thousands of words that you can now pull up online. Nowhere do you have a word that describes the condition of leprosy. You do have a reference to a word similar to it in Akkadian, Shinu, but then you have to look up one of the Akkadian medical texts to pull that one up. The descriptive skin condition, if you have one, if someone was covered with scales and things like that, you have Sashar Shubba. And that was just a broad term that would meant somebody that was sick or diseased. But leprosy as a descriptive, you don't have that. So having a skin condition such as that, you would have to find an inscription that talks about the Sagiga suffering from that condition, which rendered them to be banished from Mesopotamia, or at least in the marsh area.
Okay. All right. So I got another question. Aunt, can you help me share that first slide that shows the word black?
Right. Gig.
The Bible one?
No, from the Professor James Strong's, the one that studied the language of the people over in Northeast Africa, man. Let's not try to talk about the Bible, man, because I don't rock with the Bible like that. I'm more interested in the language of those biblical people. The language of the biblical people, we know that they was not using the word black over there. So I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show the Greek language, because we know that the Greeks did form their own language not too long after the Medu-Neter and Pro-Sinaitic and even after the Sumerian language. But I want to show this word, what black means to those people over there. So 7838 is the reference for the language of the people over there. So let's go to the next slide that shows the pronunciation and definition. Don't focus too much into the biblical scriptures. Let's just deal with the word black. All right.
The next one.
All right. So now let's deal with how you pronounce that word. All right. 7838. It looks like it's pronounced shakor in these biblical people language. And it means dusky, jetty black.
Core.
All right. So is there a word in the Sumerian language that translates to this shakor?
For being black?
All right, so I didn't really pay attention.
I think there's a lag. I think there's a lag, but
all right, let's go to the next slide, because the next slide is actually pertaining to the skin of people that was in the continent of Africa, right?
Kamar?
Yeah, that's one of them. But let's go to the next slide. That's not the one that really pertains to the skin. The next slide pertains to the skin. It's the pronunciation for the color of the skin.
To be deeply affected with passion, love, pity.
Yeah, but not that. That's not pertaining to the skin. I'm asking you to show the next slide after that.
Why you got it up there though?
Because there's two different terms of black, and I'm making sure we are landing on the right one. There's different meanings for black over in that area. So this is the one that's referring to the skin
amongst the heat,
and it's pronounced Kushite.
They come
root to be darkened. Is there a word in the Sumerian cuneiform language that translates to this word here, Kushite?
To be dark, yes. Gi.
The word gi. All right. Okay. So now let's go to the next slide.
I mean, how does that? He just said yeah, and he gave you.
I know. So let's go to the next slide, because this slide right here, this 2821 refers to the next slide, bro.
Okay. All right. Let me read. The root to be dark, as withholding, light, darken, blacker, darkness, dim, hidden. All right. This ain't got nothing to do with skin.
All right. Next slide. The reason why I say it's referring to the skin is because according to the Greeks were referring to these people on the continent of Africa as Nazarites. From what I understand, they said her Nazarites was blacker than coal, or their visage was blacker than coal. Visage meaning, what they saw or what they were looking at. And the people on the continent of Africa, that's the word that they're using is shakur. Or in the whatever language of those, whether it was the Greek people or the language before the Greeks, which I like to refer to as the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were referring to these jet black people as shakur, where their skin is concerned. So I'm just asking, is there a word that aligns with shakur when it comes down to the skin or the visage of these people? And is it possible that they were referring to the ones in Sumeria as the black-headed ones because they were not as melanin, they were not as dark or as jetty black as their brothers and sisters on the actual continent of Africa, but these ones in that particular territory are referred to as the black-headed ones because they still Africans? Is that possible?
No, we do not find that in the Sumerian literature. What we do find is in Neo-Assyrian epics or texts, which describes the conflict that took place between Taharka and Ashurbanipal, and I get the other Ashur, I can't remember the other one. They make the references in their description, in their inscriptions about them as being black. But we don't find that in Sumerian literature.
All right. And when I came in, it looked like you were showing some images, like some statues or figurines of the people from that territory. Can you show those again? I'm gonna take these slides down. I wanted to see the pictures or those figurines that you had.
Okay. Do you remember at what point did you come in? Because there's a number of images that. Well, let me just share the screen and then we can walk it from there.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about what their hair looked like, because I was always under the impression, from my study, that they were referred to as the blackhead ones because they was African albinos, but they had wool hair like Africans. Okay, so I've seen a lot of those images.
No,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so which image did you want me to point out specifically? Hold on,
the earliest one.
Go and walk through.
Yeah, let's go with the earliest one, like the first settlers in that area.
There's no depiction of the earliest settlers in Mesopotamia in Sumer.
So this is the very first image of someone in Sumer that you're showing us?
Oh, you want me to go all the way back to the first one? Oh, we can do that. Okay, so right here.
Oh, okay. All right. He don't have no hair on his head though. You don't have no images of like or figurines that where the people still got hair on their head.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me go. Because like I given like here. Look at this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. In the so in Ahnatum's Steel of the Vulture, and if you look at that inscription, and you look at Sargon's victory steel, you have, remember, Akkad had ruled Sumer and control all the city states. Now with Sargon's victory seal, when he had a victory over Lugal-Zaghazi, you can look at the captives who are Sumerian. And part of the one of the customs that the Akkadians did when they would have captives, they would cut their hair like in a bowl shape, like a beetle's cut, where the hair on top and it'd be balled around the back and the sides. Here are captives in the victory steel, where you can see them with long, semi-straight hair on top, with the long, fat nose that is typical of Sumerian, and these are Sumerians because it says so in the inscription. Likewise, in Ahnatum's Steel of the Vulture, it has the Sumerians here as well, but here they're more bald, and probably is a representation of people who held certain positions, very similar to those in the Standard of inscription, monumental object, just like what you have here, like this here. You see they're shaved around the sides. As a matter of fact, where is it? Evidence shows that the Akkadian artists adopted and preserved an already established Southern Mesopotamian visual canon, confirming that the figurines in Sargon's victory steel represents the same local population depicted earlier by Sumerian artists. The distinctive facial modeling and hair morphology directly parallel early dynastic Sumerian military imagery, particularly the Standard of and the Steel of the Vultures, confirming that the southern Mesopotamian province of the prisoners. In Mesopotamian legal and lexical sources, the hair modification, especially partial or half-shaven head, was attested as a mark of punishment, humiliation, or bondage. So Akkadian terms such as gulubu, to shave, and mutata, as a masculine, to shave half the head, explicitly describes this practice as a sign of subjugation, reinforcing the interpretation that the altered hairstyles of Sargon's steel functions as a visual indicator of captive peoples in that status. And you can find this in a concise dictionary of Akkadian by Jeremy Black, Andrew George, and Nicholas Postgate. Where is it? And if you look at on this, where is it at? Yeah, the same steel here. You can clearly here's a captive, a Sumerian captive, and you can look at his. If you want to look at the phenotype, he's very similar to what we had showed in the other slide, where you have the bald or shaved head around as a symbol of humiliation, as a captive would receive, just like an orange jumpsuit somebody would have, and they leave the hair on top just to hang. And just like with Lugal-Zaghazi, let's see if I have it here. Just like with Lugal-Zaghazi, as a captive, when he was poking his head trying to escape, and then you see him with the mace about to pop him, you'll see him with a full head of hair, but it's long and straight, with the same aquiline, big fat nose. It's like you had in the early images that I had earlier that I demonstrated earlier. So here's another image of a Sumerian. In this case, it's a Sumerian king, Lugal-Zaghazi. Is it still there? Yeah.
All right. So
and also, just to go back to your point, just real fast. So as these descriptions, it's like I have here, like a black-headed seagull. You had the black raven. They had words that described these these creatures, if they wanted to, look at this one. So you have Uga Mushingi, or Uga Gi, because Mushin is the determinative. So you have Uga Gi, which is a black raven. You have the black wild boar, which is Shah Gi or Shah Gig, and that's how they have a description. These are found in Sumerian literature. Lugabanda in the Mountain Cave, segment A, line 446. And you can find this in the electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature, where they have a description, because many of these inscriptions are discussing livestock. But when it came down, even like I use this thing here with Lucille Ball, she's the redhead. You don't find these literal expressions in Sumerian literature. Where is it?
Okay, so
here you have a Sumerian character, a figurine. Here's one as obviously he's a priest, probably mixed with a Akkadian, because usually they have Akkadians are depicted with the beards. And then we have Gouti of Lagash, where he, as a governor, had a bald head, and here he is again wearing the lambskin cap. So I hope I didn't lose you on the points of that, but
no, you didn't lose me on points.
That point was clear.
But I did want to show this first slide of Africa though, because I still got one last question for you. Hey, Ankh, can you show that slide of Africa for me real quick?
Sure. I got you.
All right. So, fam, what I was wanting to point out, right? So we know that the territory for Sumeria is, up here, I guess we refer to that as the Levant, right? So if you have Europeans coming down from the north, and then they converging with Africans, coming up into that territory, and they come together and they're making children, would not those children have a different texture of hair from the Africans and the Europeans? Because the images that I saw, that's pretty much what the hair was looking like. Still, you've seen a mulatto child. The hair is not exactly the same. It's what we refer to as good hair. It's not coarse like an African, but it ain't straight like the animal hair that white people have. So is that possibly a reason why they refer to as the black-headed ones, to signify that these people been mixed with the folks over in Africa?
I think that it will benefit you to go back and watch the video in full, because that was clearly explained in great detail. But in a nutshell, based on the inscriptions of where the name Sagiga is found, in each and every case is identifying specifically humanity or peoples, groups, and they are looked upon as sheep for the king or the gods, because they were created in one of the creation epics. They were neatly packaged, and their whole purpose was to serve the gods. So as far as their hair texture and being mixed with Africans, there's no indication to support that.
All right. Okay. All right. So I have to watch the beginning of the video to find out, why people have been referred to them as the black-headed ones. But I've always been under, the notion that they were referred to. I never saw them as jetty black or jet black people that are blacker than coal, like how the Greeks describe Africans. But I had the understanding that Africans that were melanin recessive were migrating into that territory because, they wouldn't have to be battling issues with the sun, because they didn't have no sunscreen back then. So I felt like they were being called the black-headed ones because, they hair was like Africans, but they wasn't really looking like Africans. But I'll go back and watch the beginning of your.
I understand.
All right, fam. All right. Oh,
that's good. And also,
one last slide.
One last
slide out, nigga. You just yourself had to die.
Hey, just this last slide. So you just said that I get refer to skin, but I want to
hold on, man. Let Chuck go ahead, Chuck. What you saying, Chuck? Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay. No, just to add something to it. In some of this, because I'm in a lot of different Facebook, I like to argue with people online. And one of the running arguments is that when they say black-headed, they're talking about the hair on the head, or they were talking about people who had black hair. And I always point out that it wouldn't match the grammar, because the Sumerians had multiple textual sources where you'll find them mentioning hair. And whenever you see Sangiga, you never see Sangiga and the word tiki, or tiki, yeah, which is the word for hair. So if they were talking about the black-headed meant their hair, then it would have shown in the inscription. So whenever we see them and we read the inscriptions, we don't see that reflected in the text. So what this boils down to is we have a broad view of assumptions based on what people want to conclude, whatever their bias may be. But if we go to the inscriptions of the Sumerians themselves, or even the Akkadians, because the Akkadians dealt with them directly, interacted with them intimately, preserved their language at the same time, and they never described them as black people. And by the time we get to the Babylonians, by this time the Sumerians had already the language had ceased to exist as a spoken language. They do describe black people, but they only describe the Kushites, not the Sumerians.
Yeah, I'm with that. I totally agree with that particular premise. I just know that it was Kushites that did travel into that territory, but the biblical narrative says that they left up out of that territory to return back, to the Kushite territory, most likely because of some type of oppression. But the only reason I'm showing this scripture, I don't want you to start getting on me like I'm apostle, man. Like I said, I don't rock with the Bible like them religious people. I'm more concerned about the language of the biblical people. So I'm only showing this to Ankh because I want him to notice that with this right here, their visage meaning their appearance, their visage is blacker than coal. Now let's look at the definition for that word blacker again before I'm getting ready to roll out. But whenever you talk about the topic of black, I just want you to see what the Greeks was saying in reference to these people in that Northeast African territory, because I see both you and Chief X, trying to act like, there was no jet black people in that territory, but they wasn't using that language. Yeah. So Ankh, you want to show the next slide, man? Show the next slide for the people, man, and then I'll be out.
So my point is, have you ever seen me read scholarly material?
I'm trying to show you some scholarly material.
You say the Egyptians, right? Go ahead. I'm listening, Chuck.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I just wanted to work with him on that. It's not saying that there were no jet black people. It's not saying that. What I'm saying is the Sumerians never said that. The only people saying that are people in modern America. And they don't have any textual sources to support it. They don't have the iconography to verify it. And then that means that the argument falls flat.
Yeah, I agree. And all I'm trying to do is show and for the
record,
go ahead, bro.
Okay. For the record, when you say that these Kushites entered into Sumer, because Sumer had multiple city-states, correct? Yes. So first we have to establish which city-state did these Kushites that you're claiming entered into Sumer or Mesopotamia in general. Did they enter in Kish, Mari, Eridu, Nippur, where? And if so, where's the documentation supporting it?
Okay, so I don't know what Jordan was called in the days of the Sumerians, but from my research, the Kushites was in that territory that we call Jordan today. So what position of Sumer would you say that is? Because according to the study that I did, that's the territory they was in, and that's the territory that they fled from, returning back, into the Kushite territory.
Okay. Again, you don't have any verifiable inscriptions, be it Akkadian, Sumerian, or Neo-Assyrian, Babylonian, a Hittite. You have no one that attests to that belief that you're posing. It may be true, but you would have to support it with documented, verifiable evidence.
I just find that it's unbelievable that there is no evidence that Africans were migrating into that territory at all. It's hard to believe that when we know that Africans been migrating. So I have to take what you're saying with a grain of salt. But
Okay.
I do need to roll out.
I tell you what. I'm always open. I'm always open and always looking for a point of agreement. So can we agree that your project going forward is to present that evidence coming from a Sumerian perspective that supports your premise?
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I can rock with you on that. That's the reason why I'm trying to show these last two slides to you and Ankh before I roll out. Can we show that the definition for the English word black again? Or blacker? That's one scripture that was talking about blacker. No, that's not my slide. My slide is the one that shows the word black. You on mute, Ankh. You on mute, bro.
All right, hold on. Here are the Assyrians, and here are some Nubian prisoners, y'all. Prisoners. You can look at the difference right there, bro. So there goes some people in that area up against the people in that area. So we know Africans be in that area. There they go getting locked up. So we're not disputing. Let me finish my point. We're not disputing that Africans don't. They're not the majority. Africans go a lot of places, bro. We're not disputing that. Africans traded in the Mediterranean. The Nubians fought against the Assyrians, right? When they controlled Egypt, right? That's not a point of contention. The point of contention is making that population that is imprisoning them during war as the daggone whole population, which is crazy. That's the point we're trying to make here.
Yeah, I agree with that point. I'm with that point. I understand that.
Oh, that's all I'm saying, bro. No, I'm not fighting on that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have no argument with that.
All right, this is what we want to show right here.
You missed the first. You gotta go to the first slide, man. That's the second one.
All right, hold on. Go ahead, Chuck.
No, I wanted him to complete his point, and then I wanted to walk with him someplace, and maybe we can find a common ground on Kush, specifically with regards to Mesopotamia.
Okay.
I want you to show your next slide first.
All right. So you see at the very bottom of the Strong's Concordance that word blacker, where it says their visage is blacker than coal. I'm only showing this because you said that definition didn't refer to their skin. But what's the definition of visage? If it's not referring to their skin. And so then you go to the definition, which is the next slide, 2821. Now go to the next slide, which is 2821.
Wait, you talking to me?
No, both of y'all. So we know they wasn't using the word.
No.
That is an English word.
But what you have here on the screen, this is not Sumerian.
I know. I'm showing you what the Greeks are saying about the people in this territory, because the Greeks did arrive in that territory in between Africa and Sumeria.
The Sumerians weren't Greek.
I know, that's not what I'm saying.
The Sumerians weren't Greek.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the Greeks arrived in this territory.
You're saying based on what the Greeks describe, you're implying that their description encompasses Mesopotamia as well?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So do you have a Greek? Okay. So do you have a Greek text?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Greek text that mentions? Let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Greek text that mentions Sumerians by name?
Okay, so no, this text that I'm showing is not referring to the Sumerians. It's referring to the Kushites that was in that Northeast African territory.
Okay, so I need one that's specifically addressing the people of Sumer, because that was a specific group of people who were responsible for a number of things that a lot of people had trade with in this valley. People in other parts of Iran and so forth. So I'm just using based on this definition here, black. Yeah, from a Greek perspective, and from a Sumerian perspective, their word was gi, and that encompasses nighttime as well as black in general, that we would generally use as a term for something, a black object or a black bird, a black pig, a black sheep, lamb, etc. Okay. So so the words are the same, but unfortunately for you, the Sumerians never classified themselves as such.
Okay, so I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying.
Because
I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying. All I'm trying to do is show Ankh and Chief X that in that Northeast African territory, that even the Greeks were saying there were jet black people in this Northeast African territory. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not refuting anything that you're saying, Chuck Morgan. I'm just, I'll be watching Chief X, and I'm watching Ankh. Ankh has an issue with this word black, and then Chief X want to make it look like it wasn't no jet black people in that territory. And I'm just trying to show folks that the Greeks were saying that there was these separatist people up there, these jet black people in Northeast Africa.
Let me say this. I think I need to make this very important real quick.
Well, I think for the benefit of the sake of the audience, we don't want to cross contaminate your premise, mistakenly applying it to where I'm coming from, because some people may jump in. You may think that you're combating me to use that as an argument to support some kind of black Sumer theory.
Okay, I understand that. I do have to watch the beginning of your video.
I didn't want to go.
Hold on.
Okay, let's just do this. I wanted to walk with you. I wanted to.
One sec, Chuck. I gotta say it, bro.
I wanted to share something.
Hold on, Chuck.
Okay.
Hey, Mozzie, as long as you black, don't ever misconstrue conversations that Chief X had, that I have, and what Chuck Morgan has, in confusion with his work. At no point did I ever say in my whole entire life that there was not dark-skinned Egyptians. I've never said it. The scholarship says they range in skin color, being darker in the south and lighter in the north. I use the skin map. I would never say such a thing. I'm saying that the majority of people in North Africa, right, in the Delta would not be dark-skinned. Why? Because skin has nothing to do with being an Egyptian and all to do with protection from the harmful UVA rays. So of course the Egyptians today are going to be lighter because they have air conditioning, they have cars, they have clothes. Indigenous populations was naked. So let's move on. Go ahead, Chuck. What was you about to say? Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, Brother Moses.
Yeah, go ahead, fam.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, cool. I want to share this right, but I want to share this because I think because I do hear you a lot on sa.neter's show in reference and when you make reference to Kush and things like that. What I was going to do, and this is going to come up later on in another slide, but I wanted to point something out. Okay, so where's that? Yeah, let me see if I got it. Okay, so there is a word, well, actually, there's about 3 or 4 words or terms in Sumerian for that literally is Kush. Okay. So and I put them because these are the most prominent that are more highly attested. So here you have, of course, we know the toponym Kish. The city Kish, we know it to be the city, and it's used as a determinative, Kishki, or you don't pronounce it, but it's still Kish. All right, so we understand what Kish is. All right, now you have the word Kush, and is used before. This is a determinative, by the way. It's used before the names of leather items, animal hides, and for the record, Kush can only be found in numerous inscriptions, but the focus is based on the conjugation or the conjunction of Kish or Kush Gigi, where you have black skin. You with me? So these right here, you see Kush Gigi, black skin. And this is a word. Now the problem is we don't find this word in Sumerian literature. We find it in Babylonian. And it's used to describe leather goods. So that's the only place you're going to find black skin used, and you'll find it in the digital corpus of cuneiform lexical text, the DCCLT. Here's a text using the word for skin, which is Kush, the skin of their buttocks, but she spoke not a word to them. They poured tar in her lap, but she spoke not a word. The key word there is they have here is Kush Nitikidor Na. And you can find this in the Dumuz and Nyestin Ana text. Number 3, you have this word, this verb, which is kushtu, which means to become tired, out of breath, the life. So when you have in Ana, while shutting up the Tigi and Adab instruments in her home, she never grew weary with admirers looking upon you. Enki and the World Order 448449 text. You can find that at the Electronic Text Corpus of Sumerian Literature. This Kush, like the English transliteration Kush, there's no historical, linguistic, or cultural connection to either the biblical Kush or African peoples. In Uruk, right, the digital corpus of cuneiform lexical text, here we have this will give you an idea. So in the CDLI P250373, it talks about, look at this, Kush Darah Mashda, Kush Mashda, Kush Amar Mashda, Kush Sheg, Kush Shegbar, Kush Lulim. When it gets down to black leather, we have Kush Gigi. Red leather is Kush Su'ah. So they did have a word for black leather or black skin, but it was never applied to human beings in Sumerian literature nor Akkadian literature. So I just wanted to share that with you. I can't hear you.
All right, so no, I don't disagree with what it is that I see right there, because according to the language of those biblical people, there is this word called Nazarite. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show the definition for it, but there is this word for those biblical people in the Northeast African territory that's pronounced Nazir, or in English is Nazarite, and it means to be separate or separatist. So if that was the law of the land,
it's just like it's like in Arabic you have Nasri. It's like in Arabic you have Nasri.
So that would explain why you would not see any word referring to African people in that territory, because according to their lifestyle and their heritage, they wanted to remain separate, from the outsiders. And the Sumerians would be or in that territory, those people would be referred to as outsiders. So I can totally understand why you wouldn't see, African people. And then Ankh just showed us, African people being driven out, and obviously them people was probably going against their ancestors. Them people was probably not even supposed to been over there, but they disobeyed their ancestors, went somewhere and got their asses kicked out.
I can appreciate your hopes, and that's admirable. Unfortunately, it just won't hold up, brother. I'm sorry.
Oh, like I said, I don't disagree. I don't believe that, that's a territory that Africans, was ruling over. I believe that they were there. I believe they migrated into a territory they didn't belong, and they got drove out. Even the biblical narrative shows that, they was in this territory called Chaldea, and then they ended up going back into an African territory. You know what I'm saying? So I don't disagree with what you're showing, though.
You know what? If you go to, there was a Sumerian king named Utu Hagal. Utu Hagal, and when you mentioned that people being run up out of an area, he was responsible for the expulsion of a savage, wild people. People who didn't bury their dead, ate raw flesh, were absolute savages, didn't have a reading, didn't know anything technically other than just a savage behavior. They were known as Gouti, or the Gouti. They're documented in text after inscription in both Akkadian. You can go to the Lamet of Sumer or Lamet of Agade. You'll find it in Akkadian inscription as well as Sumerian, that these Gouti were eventually expelled, and that brought in the resurgence of Sumerian civilization and culture. And this is at this point where you had the majority of imagery, textual sources. You had an abundant, because they went back to their old cultural expressions and in culture in general prior to the Akkadians coming in and dominating the Sumerian city-states. So if you want to talk about people being kicked out of Sumer, that's one of the main groups, and it's well documented in both Sumer and Akkad, and that was the Gutians. So when people say that the artifacts or the images you see of Sumerians and they look a certain way, like white people or whatever, blue eyes, and they say that was the Gutians, they're totally wrong. That's some nonsense that Clyde Winters pushed out. Because the images that he used, he was particularly being deceptive by using black and white grainy images. I should pull it up. Should I pull it up?
Yeah, pull that up. Also, when you get a chance, pull up that. When you get a chance, pull up the image of that of Gilgamesh and Enkidu, because I wanted to build with you on that real quick before I roll out.
I don't have any images of Gilgamesh. I didn't have anything featuring Gilgamesh.
Oh, okay.
Get these slides out of here, man.
Oh, my bad.
Hold on. Oh, there it is. I got it. No problem. Let me share this with you real fast, because I want to. I was going to do this, but I think that since we're on the topic, I think it's relevant. And let me see. How do I get back? Okay, there it is. All right, so let me share this real
all right, fast. One sec before you share that real quick. Take a slight break, man. Promote.
All right, let me hit this fast. Okay, so
one sec, Chuck.
So Clyde Winters.
Check 1 sec.
A notorious.
Chuck, can you hear me, Chuck?
Yeah.
Chuck, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, hold on 1 second. Yeah. Hey man, y'all got this debate there with Napah and the Naphtali. All right. So the link is in the description of the video. Make sure y'all support the debates. Two intelligent sisters. Not only intelligent, two beautiful sisters, man. They going head up. All right, it's gonna be a great conversation. Scientific conversation based around are we animals and are we primates? Okay, very important. Also, guess the debate, monkey or man. Did all humans come from Africa? These debates tie into each other. And if you can understand and not get tricked in these debates, then you'll be able to understand Chuck Morgan's conversation. This is the image right here, the blackhead ones, right? Beautifully put together image. So this conversation right here requires you to understand, one, those two debate topics. We didn't get into what he's talking about, migrations and people and statues and anthropology. So it's up here. You want to talk about Cloud Winters, Chuck? I know you hit the Cloud Winter slide up there first.
Yeah, real fast. This won't take more than a couple of minutes, real fast. All right. I just wanted to illustrate something based on the illustration. He pointed out that to make the Sumerians white, textbooks print pictures of artifacts dating to the Gouti rule of Lagash to pass them off as the true originators of Sumerian civilization. Much of the iconography of Sumerians, as well as their literature, comes during the third dynastic period of Sumer, Lagash, and Ur. This would be after the Akkadian and Gouti occupations. The Gouti defeated the Akkadian armies, took Akkad, and destroyed it around 2115 BC. However, they didn't supplant all of Akkad, as several independent city-states remained alongside them, including Lagash, where the local dynasty continues to thrive and left numerous textual and archaeological remains. According to Mikulowski, who was a Assyriologist, the Gutian period from 2120. Well, we ain't gonna. I just want to get to the main point. Right here, below is the image that Clyde Winters posted on several blog sites, because I used to follow him and I collected this stuff. So here we have what he has in black and white Gouti, a Gouti, and here's a Gouti, according to Clyde Winters, and of course this doctored up Sumerian image here. And this one here, I forget, this is Utu Hagal. I'm not sure if I can remember who this is. But nevertheless, this image here and this image here are well known because they were excavated from the Abu Temple at El Ashmar. And this goes back to it's attested to the early dynastic 1 and 2 periods. These are not Gutians. Like Winters is deceptive imagery. And then we have the actual image from the museum itself. Now, this one here and this one here, I had this one colorized, just give you a better illustration of it. And the blue eyes know that blue eyes had nothing to do with anything pertaining to their race or they being white people with blue eyes, none of that. All of that was a symbolic reference to their affiliation with the heavens. So when they gazed upon the skies, their eyes were blue because it was a representation of the skies with the lapis lazuli. Here we are below are all the statues of the ruler of Lagash, which is Gudea. You have Gudea here, Gudea here, Gudea here. I think that's it on this one. So I don't know what much more to say on that, other than, unfortunately, we just don't have images of the Sumerians calling themselves or depicting themselves as Black people. All right. So then now this image you have right here. Yeah, I've seen it because unfortunately, we have a problem with this internet thing, because people will pull up images, but they give it no context. Where it's from, where it was found, what's written, nothing. Right. All right. And okay, so that's what I was. Those images. Yeah, that's what I was. I understand the concept of being Gilgamesh and Enkidu. Right. So I guess that's the reason why I'm showing it, to give it the context,
So now that we see the image, can I get you to share the next slide for me, please?
You gonna give the context?
No. Well, it's not my context. It's based on the definitions, or based on what. Before we take that slide down, the one on the left represents. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
What was you gonna say, Chuck?
The problem you're having is the problem is that this image, first of all, is not Sumerian, and this depiction of Gilgamesh is in the Neo-Assyrian period, and we have multiple Neo-Assyrian depictions of themselves as well as their gods in the epics. And I showed one earlier, and they are not Negroes or black people.
Right. Okay.
Now, Enkidu here is supposed to be part God, part man. And unfortunately, with this particular image you have here, is just a homemade drawing of it. It's not actually found on an inscription. Matter of fact, you won't find the two together in a depiction from the Babylonians or Akkadians.
All right. So the reason why I'm showing it. The reason why I'm showing it is because from my school of thought that this was a metaphor. And the metaphor was that this image on the left with the horns was representative of leaders in that Sumerian territory. And the one on the right was representative of the people in that Northeast African territory, which I refer to as Kushites. Now, can we go to the next slide?
I know, but what school of thought is that? So we can kind of look it up.
Get ready to show it to you. I'm getting ready to show it to you. I'm getting ready to show it to you. Show the next slide.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Chuck?
Show the next slide, please.
That would. I mean, because anybody you can make any kind of assumptions based on a picture, but when it gets down to,
come on, man, y'all, let me finish showing the slides before y'all go back.
That's
right
the
now.
devil
You're on the picture. All right, so this is that word that I was talking about. This is the definition. This is the definition for Nazarite.
Okay, thank you.
All right. See that right down there? See where it says Nazar? See right there where it says Nazar, to separate, be separated. All right, so now let's go to the next slide.
Purity, even from a divine worship.
Right. So the metaphor of that, which is supposed to be coming out of Sumeria, is that you have leaders in that time that their laws were to keep their people separated from each other. For them, not all of these admixtures that y'all talking about is the result of laws being broken between these two areas, the area of Sumeria and the area of Kush. These people never were supposed to be coming together. So when y'all be making an argument about phenotypes and all like that, that would not even be a discussion if people had stuck with the original law of those people. Now, those are metaphors, but we can, of course, we can say that, okay, there was those are not black people, so on and so forth. But you cannot say that there were not leaders in Sumeria that did not want their people mixing with folks in Africa. And you cannot say that there wasn't people in Africa that did not want their people mixing with people in Sumeria. You cannot say that there wasn't leaders that intended to keep their people, their citizens, separate from each other. The United States does it right now. If they find you fraternizing with the Russians, they're going to look at you as a traitor and a possible domestic terrorist. Same thing with Muslims. If they see you getting down, with the Islamics while you're here in America, they're going to look at you as a traitor. So it's the same concept. It ain't nothing new under the sun. So, I mean, y'all looking at that image like I'm trying to go into some.
Is there a question?
Showing you the language of the people in that territory. There was an issue of separatism in that territory at that time. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Is there a question in there? Would you ask me a question?
No, I just wanted to show you. No, Chuck, I just wanted to show you that I do agree with you when you say that there was no Africans in Sumeria, because to my understanding, there was a nature of separatism that existed in those territories at that time. People protecting their borders even back then. So yeah, I rock with you on that, fam.
Okay. To be clear, there were mixes in Mesopotamia, including Sumer. There was mixing all over. In fact, some trade agreements, you had the people of the Indus Valley that took wives of Sumerians. So Akkadians mixed in with Sumerians. So for you to say that to be separate, there is no written text that speaks about you want to be separated to keep your seed pure. That is something that you believe, but it doesn't come out of Sumerian literature.
All right, so what was that Ankh just showed us earlier? Did we not see some Africans getting driven out of that territory?
Hold on. Oh, yes.
Huh?
Did Ankh not just show us an image of Africans being driven out of that territory? You heard my question? So you act like laws have not been broken. Yeah, yes, there was mixing taking place, but what I'm saying is originally those laws were not supposed to be broken. Chief X, a lot of people come up on this platform acting like that's something that was supposed to have happened, but people were breaking laws back then, bro.
I understand. The problem that you're having is what you're injecting is not anything that I said, nor do the Sumerians write. There is no law written in Mesopotamian literature stating that you are to not mix your seed.
So why are we seeing that image of Africans being driven out?
What is wrong with you, man?
No, why are you acting like you didn't just show that image?
Man, it was a war, bro. Everybody knows that the Nubians
and that image,
what was the reason
for clarity,
war,
that image were captive.
America's going through a war right now. They got ICE running across America, kicking foreigners out.
We're not talking about right now. We're not
it's
talking
the same
about right
thing,
now.
bro. It ain't no
specifically
different.
about that image. Specifically about that image, and that image illustrates captives, Kushites that were held as captive by those Neo-Assyrians. You don't have that in Mesopotamian literature or iconography. What they have is their captives from Akkad, their wars with Elam. You don't have that with Kushites. We don't have any depictions of Kushites, black people, in Sumer. It's just not there.
Okay.
So, I mean, I appreciate your passion, but unfortunately, what you believe does not reflect the historical record.
All right. So, Ankh, you gonna show your image again, please? Can you show it for me one more time?
I'm not showing that no more. I'm telling you, it's a war. Everybody knows.
Think so. Because you don't want to.
Everybody know it's detailed that the Nubians, the 25th dynasty, conquered Egypt all the way from Kerma all the way to the Delta. All right, it's a war, bro. They prisoners of war. Black people try to say they the Hebrews.
Ain't nobody stop that. Ain't nobody talking about that. Right now, we talking about borders, bro. That's all I'm pointing out. There was
you cannot talk over me in the middle of talking, Mozzie. What I'm saying is, Mozzie, what I'm trying to make it, bro. You read a whole thing that ain't have something about the Hebrew Nazarite. That ain't had nothing to do with Sumer, nothing to do with the Nubians. It was a mumble jumble. I don't know what you're doing at this point. I'm not sitting up here with you doing this. I'm done with you. We're done.
You're making up stuff. That's what you're doing. You purposely didn't listen to anything that I said because of the name that you see on the screen. I came up here, I'm gonna reiterate my questions to him. I came up here and I asked him, I was like, yo, bro, do you think maybe possibly they were called the black-headed ones because they were African albinos in that territory? They migrated to that territory. I wasn't talking about no Hebrew nonsense. But what I want to do is you want to discredit me with that whole Hebrew thing.
That's a delusional hypothesis. That's a delusional pseudo.
Okay, and all right, fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna argue with that because I didn't see the beginning of your video. However, we are not going to sit up here and act like Africans was not migrating. And we're not going to act like no Africans did not migrate into the territory that we call Jordan today. And we're not going to act like all of that is just Hebrew, Israelite, Christian stuff. I ain't come up here talking about no Hebrew, Israelite, Christian, nothing. That's just Ankh trying to
we're talking about Sumer. We're talking about Sumer.
Exactly. Sumer's in that. Sumer is that same territory.
No. Sumer is in southern Iraq, and nowhere in any of their iconography, none of their historical battles, records, nowhere do you have anybody that's depicted as being black folk. When you are able to find that, then you'll have an argument. Right now, you didn't show me that. You showed me. No, you did not. That's not Sumerian. That's not Sumerian.
So that territory.
Didn't show a Sumerian iconography.
So I'm asking you, what I'm asking you is the image that Ankh showed you. You're saying that that's not an image.
This is a perfect. Brother, I think you're suffering from cognitive dissonance.
No, I'm not. Y'all suffering from cognitive dissonance.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And most people who suffer from it, don't realize that they're suffering from cognitive dissonance. That's why people who suffer from cognitive dissonance will do anything they can to hold on to their religious beliefs.
I'm not trying to hold on to no religion.
Evidence to support what you're saying.
Y'all trying to pigeonhole me.
You are religious.
I'm not religious.
No, that is a religious ideology.
I'm not religious.
Yes, you are. Anytime you're going to utilize a term,
stop trying to pigeonhole me.
Stop trying to pigeonhole me. My challenge to you.
Stop trying to pigeonhole me. Let's go back to the image. Let's go back to the image that I showed you after it's being driven out.
You pigeonholed yourself.
No, I didn't.
You pigeonholed yourself.
I showed you a language. Yes,
you did. Yes, you did. And you can't get away from it. It's called cognitive dissonance. Look it up.
Yeah, and religious people suffer from cognitive dissonance.
To move forward,
religious people
get a better understanding.
My whole
thing is,
I am not religious. I'm talking about people in Northeast African territory.
You have the evidence. Yeah.
That's all I'm talking about. Stop trying to make it religious.
That's fine.
Stop trying to make it religious. I'm not dealing with the religious aspect of it.
But when you
let's remove religion from the conversation. Stop bringing religion into the conversation. Let's just deal with the borders.
You're not listening.
Let's just deal with the borders. And let's deal with the war that probably took place.
Okay.
Name violated.
All right, brother.
Yeah,
name the border that Sumer had established to keep our people. Can you name it?
No, he left. I'm not. Listen.
Can you name the border?
He can't name nothing. All he knows is he put a bunch of Bible.
With all due respect, this is the problem that whenever you're trying to deal with facts, people have to bring in their ideologies that just doesn't hold up. And when they're confronted with it, they have to reach into the grab bag of pseudo-wisdom to try to hold on to it. It just doesn't work in reality. That's why it's called pseudo-wisdom. So when you're making these claims and you're trying to affix a Greek concept and say that this is talking about the Sumerians, you can't do it. The Sumerians already laid out descriptions of themselves and the people in the surrounding areas. None of them are black. None of them are called black or African in any form of language that you want to use to affix that term. The closest you're going to have it is when the Neo-Assyrian, in their inscription that I'm showing you here, the king of Kush, where Taharka is mentioned specifically by name and his daughters and his sons, and he talks about their skin being black. Oh, you laughing?
Yeah, he just left.
I sympathize, with folks like that, but the reality is you cannot overlay that. Now, let's look at this image real fast. Okay. So when you look at these people, you can clearly see the contrast. You see what we would refer to as Africans, Kushites. You can see the feather hair. I think what do you call it? What's the word they use? Nahasi, something like that. And these Neo-Assyrians here. These are not Sumerian. So you can't use this image to say that the Sumerians had black people when the Sumerians were long gone by this time. The Assyrians were not Sumerians. They used cuneiform as did the Amorites, Hittites, and other groups. So I feel sorry for the brother because that's got to be a very painful thing to have to deal with. And especially whenever you call in the show and you get laughed and mocked because of how ridiculous your belief is. And I don't say that disrespectfully. I say that because I've dealt with this a long time. And I've seen people cling on to cognitive dissonance or revert into that state of mind because they're trying to do whatever they can and throw anything on the wall and hoping that it'll stick so they can hold on to what it is they believe.
Mm.
You know, Ankh, all the nights, 8 hours of debates. Been debating before some of these people even born. And you remember that. And these people will argue, Bible, argue all night long. And they're still
all night long.
And will not admit that they're wrong.
And I think at the end of the day,
this is
Chuck,
this is going to be the first of a series on this topic.
Yeah, we need to really hit them with the good scholarly work.
It started by Nimrod and Kushites.
Yeah, we need.
They biblically, not in Mesopotamia.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a good show,
bottom
Chuck.
Line is, if you take nothing away from this conversation, the Sumerians were not black. Huh?
Yeah, we can end it on that right there. I say we can end it right there. Yeah, at the end of the day, Sumerians wasn't black. Y'all should learn y'all Neo-Babylonian periods and learn your Sumerian periods. You got learn Sumerian history.
I'm the one that's gonna bring the noise.
Yeah, don't
so anybody out there claiming that, step to me.
Right, they ain't gonna be able to do it. It's coming, but they ain't gonna be able to do it because they're not gonna have the scholarly paralysis. That you could read, you understand the word. You could read the words.
They're not qualified. All they're gonna do is rely on hypotheticals and misinformation that's been debunked decades ago, or reinstitute dead science or pseudoscience like craniometry.
That's real. It's crazy to me, but look,
because Sumer is an area that people are not really that familiar with.
Correct. It's easy to flim-flam people. No, it's easy. You're right. It's easy to flim-flam people because we're not familiar with it. I mean, that's the point. Can you hear me, Chuck?
I'm supposed to be finished. I gotta go pick her up. Huh?
Yeah, you gotta get out of here, Chuck. Yeah, you gotta get out of here, Chuck. Man, we almost at the 3-hour mark, Chuck.
Yeah, I gotta go, man.
Bro.
It was
good. It was fun. It was fun, man. Go do your thing, man. You're on a lovely island.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed it. We got to do this. We're gonna talk, man. We're gonna talk.
But, we're gonna talk. Great, powerful show.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
All right. And appreciate you, Chuck, man. Appreciate all your work you do.
And I didn't want to come off like I'm disrespectful.
You didn't?
I didn't want to seem like I was disrespecting the brother. Not at all. And there's no disrespect to him. Yeah. Because I try to keep this thing academic in a sense. Only time I get indignant like that is when I'm dealing with the Wapians.
Yeah, you ain't getting that. or saw.
I want to keep it professional, on this YouTube channel as opposed to the other one that I had when I can get riggedy raw.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna keep it scholarly right here. This is where the scholars come to play. That's real.
Yeah,
all right, Chuck, man, appreciate you, bro.
So, no, not to disrespect, brother, not at all.
Hey, man, we had a powerful show today, man. Chuck,
I'm gonna hit you up later on, man.
All right, man. All right, peace, Chuck. All right, man. So we did our thing, man. It was a good one. Appreciate it, man. I'm great. sa.neter is still live. I'm gonna pop up there. I wonder if they still live over there. I'm gonna pop up over there, man. See what they talking about, man. Jump up in that conversation, man. I appreciate everything, man. Hit the Cash App, man. Show some love, man. It was it was a good presentation, man. Make sure y'all do that. All right. Show us some love, man. And was you saying something, Chuck?
I was just saying, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everything, and we'll talk later on.
Okay. All right, man. All right. Peace. Yeah, man. Hey, make sure y'all hit that Cash App going out the door, man. Y'all, let's do a powerful presentation, man. We appreciate the love. Appreciate everybody coming through, man. And y'all already know, man, we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep banging on the information, man. We can let people cry. Appreciate Mozzie from sliding up there, man. But don't get me confused. I've never said that Egyptians could not have a dark skin color. I just said it wouldn't make sense for the whole population to be that way. Craziest thing ever. Like, why would the whole population in North Africa be dark skinned? The UVA rays don't require that. Maybe our mind and our belief system require it, but the human biological organism does not require you to have super dark Sudanian skin color. That doesn't stop people from ranging from Sudan, Nubia, to the north. Doesn't stop that. That's what the early colorgraphers said. That they drew the line. They couldn't go past that line. Racism was. But that's not what we at, right? We polished with the brown hair, man. So anytime y'all say the word "swim" out your mouth, we step into it. All right, man. Make sure y'all support the debates, man. I'm about to get over to this other channel, man. You know what I'm saying, man? Man, y'all listen to sa.neter TV, man. We doing our thing around here, man. We keeping it right, keeping everything tight, man. And look, man, at this point, y'all should know what it is. God killer, we make those ring bass from the cannon. Use me, NW Cole, clear vision, hilltop roofs, no gimmicks. Montgomery, just the tempo, race this turn. Info heavy, show sources, don't chit chat, no proof, fall back. Quick, Rogers Ave, where I'm at, another Pequee, stay intact. Park Heights, facts ready, Liberty Heights, no ferry, yo playing weak, go fast. Get review, hold down, message first, no me, replicate, then it's legit. God killer, we make those ring bass in the cannon.
Those who need to condemn forced child sacrifice or harming the hairs on the head of the least of these, right? So you can't have that he followed that Canaanite child sacrifice understanding and then yet speaks against it and preaches against it. We see throughout even in the Old Testament and all that here, like they talk about Tophet, right? Or in the valley of Hinnom, right? Which is oftentimes where you get Sheol or a place like the dam. We know the exact same place where they were offering child sacrifice. In the time of before David conquered Jerusalem, and it was Jebus or by the Jebusites, what they call it Jebus or Jerusalem. It's two completely different concepts that are happening here. So you'll see some of the motifs here when it talks about these things, but I'm saying to people that a lot.
Man, I'm your host, God Killer. You listen to sa.neter TV. Make sure y'all like and subscribe on sa.neter TV, Black News 102. Make sure y'all get over there to the community skeptics, man. We have 4,500 subscribers, man. We're trying to get to 5,000, man. Get over there and subscribe to the channel, man. That's where you're getting all your education, man. We cross-pollinating, making sure that people get the information that's needed, man. Go back and look at the download, Sumer and the Land of the Black-Haired Ones, the response to years of misinformation. Educating our people on history, on world history, so that we don't become cultural vultures and snatch other people's culture. Never let skin color blind you. A person with the same skin color does not mean they share ancestry with you. That, we out. I'm going over to the other side of the channel, man. I see y'all over there. Peace. What's good, family? Ill Waters, man. Go back and listen to the download. With that, we out.